Hold up. That's not how it all happened. Not even close. So let me give it to you straight. My confidence to make The Godfather was non-existent. That's the part that people don't like hearing. They wanted a version of me that they thought I was in control. I was calm on the set, certain. Well, that wasn't me at the time. That was the furthest thing from the truth. I was scared. I was broke. I was already coming off of a failure. And I was directing a movie for a studio that didn't absolutely trust me. Believe me, that's not confidence. That's being cornered. I didn't wake up thinking I was going to make a classic. I woke up thinking, how do I not get fired today? Paramount didn't hire me because they believed in me. They hired me, one, because I was Italian, and two, because I was cheap and replaceable. And they made sure that I knew about that. Every meeting was polite. Every note was sort of helpful. Every conversation ended with some quiet reminders. We're watching you. Now, Zoetrope at the time had nearly collapsed, my production company. I had debt. I had a family. I had no margins. So when people tell you confidence is some internal belief system, they're actually lying. Confidence for me didn't exist. All I had was fear and a choice to make. When we started shooting, the first fight wasn't about actors. It was about the camera. They wanted it to constantly be moving because movement feels like control. It feels like momentum. It makes executives relax. But I kept it still, not because it was artistic, because moving the camera would have been dishonest. This movie was about power, and power didn't rush, at least not from the people I knew. They wait. They wait for certain times. They wait. I kept it still, not because it was artistic, but because moving the camera was just dishonest. If the camera starts telling the audience where to look, how to feel, the movie then just becomes a lecture, right? I wasn't making a lecture. I was making room where I was hoping people would come and sit and watch. That decision didn't come from confidence. It came from stubborn fear. Fear of making something that is fake. They hated how dark it was. Faces disappearing, rooms swallowed by shadows. They said to me, people won't see what's happening. Internally, I said, good. You're not supposed to see everything. I was living in uncertainty, and the movie had to live there too. If I lit it brightly, I would have lied about the world I knew. Oh, they hated Pacino even more. He's too quiet. He's too small. They wanted someone who looked more powerful immediately. I wanted someone who looked like he was calculating. That's how I saw Michael's power. He was slow. He didn't announce himself when he came into the room, while everyone else was just talking. That wasn't confidence either. It was slow recognition. Halfway through the movie, nothing looked like it was a hit. They kept saying to me, Michael isn't dominant. He's not the lead. He doesn't look like the lead. He isn't charismatic. He isn't leading anything. He's just watching. And that's where I thought most directors would panic. To be honest, I was pretty panicked inside, but I just didn't let them know. Some directors might come in and start explaining, speed things up, start signaling arcs. I just couldn't bring myself to do that. But then, fear already had done its work. I just stopped negotiating. Brando drove them absolutely insane. It was too unpredictable for them. To be honest, they didn't even want to hire him to begin with. They wanted me to cut around him, control him, shape his performance. I couldn't do that. What I saw was an absolute gift that was on this film. You see, control is what scares people when they ask for it. I let the camera sit. I let moments run longer than they should. If people got uncomfortable, fuck it, good. I was uncomfortable every day on that shoot. Somewhere along the way, something shifted. Not confidence, but my commitment. I stopped thinking about whether they liked the movie, whether they liked me. I didn't care anymore. I started thinking about whether I could live with this. Once that happened, the fear changed complete shape. I stopped asking questions for myself. I stopped bargaining within myself. I just let the camera and the actors do the work. Quietly. And that's when the film finally found its spine. From there, everything followed the same rule. The violence stays quick, the waiting stays heavy, and the camera does not move or explain itself or even foreshadow anything. Scenes just end when they're done. not when everybody's comfortable with it. Michael doesn't announce who he becomes. He just becomes it. And the movie never apologized for that. By that point, the movie wasn't the fight anymore, but the crew was. The DP kept pushing back. Every setup was a negotiation. Francis, we're losing the image. Francis, the shadows are eating the faces. Francis, this isn't going to print. He said it like he was saving me, like I didn't understand what I was doing. What he meant was, this makes me nervous, Francis. And nervous people don't like directors who won't bend. I look at the frame and think, that's exactly how it should look like. Dark, heavy, unforgiving. But he kept wanting balance. I want balance. I wanted imbalance. He wanted to show everything. I wanted to hide everything. Now that was a problem. And it was a lot of stress on the set. We'd stand there arguing while the clock was ticking on the set. The AD hovering nearby like a debt collector. Francis, we're behind. Francis, we're burning time. Francis, we gotta move on. That phrase, we have to move on, was the most dishonest thing that I had to deal with on the set. Move toward what? A safer movie? A cleaner movie? A bright movie? A movie that no one argues about because nobody remembers it? I told them we're not behind. We are where the scene is supposed to be. They hated that answer. The AD didn't care about the scenes, he cared about the schedule. And the schedule was his leverage. Every time he brought it up, it was a reminder. You're expensive, you're vulnerable, we can fix this by fixing you. I'd already been through failure. I knew how fast the ground disappears. So when they started crowding me, DP on one side, AD on the other, I felt that the old instinct just kicked in. Appease, compromise, survive. That instinct is poison because it doesn't ask if the movie is right. It asks if you're still standing tomorrow. And one day realizing something, they were more afraid than I was. The DP was afraid of looking bad. The AD was afraid of losing control. The studio was afraid of explaining themselves upstairs. And I was afraid to make a shit movie. And that's not the same fear. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped justifying the darkness. I stopped defending the stillness. I stopped answering every note like it deserved a response. I'd say, this is the shot. And that was it. You could feel the temperature change in the room. I really didn't care at that point. That's when the pressure got personal. Phone calls started coming in. Side conversations. People asking questions around me instead of to me. Classic film business. They were seeing how far they could push me before I cracked. And I just didn't crack. Not because I was strong, but because my confidence was building. The reason The Godfather turned out to be the film that is today isn't because I knew what I was doing. It's because I grew into my confidence by refusing to abandon the vision of the story. The movie didn't come from certainty. It came from pressure. And you know what they say? Diamonds are built under pressure. If you like this kind of inside room narrative, the part that they don't put into history books, let me know in the comments below. Like the video and subscribe. That's a cut.